So it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning and I've just come back from the premiere of Spider-Man, but I am going to do this review now and I'm going to do it for you guys! The Amazing Spider-Man. Okay, so The Amazing Spider-Man is a reboot of the Spider-Man series, featuring Andrew Garfield as the main protagonist this time. And this story is set around the same origins as Spider-Man, while also bringing in the origins of a villain called the Lizard. And then it's about the fight between Spider-Man and the Lizard. Now let's look at the cast for a start. First of all, we've got Andrew Garfield giving out a fantastic central performance. I mean, he really is a great Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I mean, I've liked him way before this. I mean, I liked him in films such as The Social Network and another small film which not many people have seen called Never Let Me Go. And as an acting presence, I preferred him more than I did towards maybe perhaps say Tobey Maguire. Also, Rhys Ifans as Dr. Connors is fantastic as well. I mean, in the viral videos online, he really gives across a tormented character. And that comes across in the film as well, and he maintains a pretty top-notch performance throughout the whole film. A character I was really surprised about, who I really liked, was Martin Sheen's character as Uncle Ben. I think the Uncle Ben in this interpretation of Spider-Man was much more well-developed and much more well-rounded and a likeable presence than the Uncle Ben from Spider-Man 1. But there was one character I had a problem with, and that was Gwen Stacy. She didn't really feel like a necessary character. In fact, she felt more like a plot device, and there was never any connection between her and Spider-Man, really. I just don't think her connection with the story was balanced out as well as, say, other characters. And that brings me on to my main problem with this film, and that's the issues with the script. I mean, there are a lot of times when this story just feels completely forced. I mean, the way Peter Parker finds out the outfit design he's going to create for Spider-Man it just feels so forced and unnatural and brings you completely out of the experience. And obviously with a comic book film there's more than one storyline going on. There's like little side storylines along the side, and one of them involves Uncle Ben. And you always feel like this storyline is going to reach a conclusion, but it never really does. It gets to like a crescendo and then just nothing happens. And it feels really odd within the context of the film as well. There's also inconsistencies with the characters, especially Peter Parker, Spider-Man's character. I mean, when he first becomes Spider-Man, he keeps touching things, and then obviously his hands are sticking towards them. So he'll be like on the train and he'll be touching the pole, and you won't be able to get his hand off the pole. But then the next scene he'll be typing away and picking stuff up, and then there's no problem with what he's doing. But then the scene after that, he would touch something again and his hand would be stuck to it, and there was never really any consistent theme throughout it. Another thing that annoyed me about Spider-Man's character as well was his constant need to take off his mask. I mean, it just seemed like so many scenes he just had his mask off, and there was like no real reason for him to have it off. In fact, there's one scene where he has it on, and then the next scene it's just he's not wearing it at all, and it doesn't really flow the way it should. Although one of my final problems as well is the character of the Lizard. I mean, when Rhys Ifans is on, he's fantastic and he's a great character and even a great villain. But when the giant CGI lizard comes on, it feels incredibly cheesy, and you never really see a motivation for the lizard. He's just an evil presence and an evil character, and he feels like he's just a forced bad guy. There's no real motivation. And when Rhys Ifans is playing Kirk Connors, he's not exactly a nice character as well then, and there's just you don't really see the change of him becoming a villain. But despite those problems, there's a lot of fun to be had here. I mean, the action is choreographed quite nicely, and all the set pieces are quite memorable as well. All the set pieces were exciting and entertaining, and I loved pretty much every single one of them. And the film had a nice pacing towards it as well. I mean, the first hour is slow, but that's what you've got to expect from an origin story. It builds up the characters, and then the next hour it has constant set pieces and character building within those set pieces as well. I also think they captured the character of Spider-Man pretty well as well. I mean, he has comical lines as he does in the comic books, and he's a really likeable presence. And he even added little things to his suit as well that come from the comic books as well, which the other Spider-Man films didn't. And overall, it's a pretty fun film, despite that it has a lot of problems as well. It's not as good as Spider-Man 1 or 2, but it's definitely better than Spider-Man 3. I just wish I could say that I loved it more than I did, but it was just missing a couple of key elements. And one final thing as well, do not see this film in 3D. I mean, you can see from the trailers it's got quite a colourful and vibrant scheme to it, and when you put the 3D glasses on, it's just completely washed down, and there's nothing, it doesn't add anything to the experience at all. In fact, it was straining my eyes. So go see it in 2D if you're going to go see it, and so you can see it on a big screen with the bright colours and get the full experience that you should. So overall I'm going to give Spider-Man a 3 out of 5. I thought it was a fun time, despite the fact that it had a lot of problems. It's definitely not the best superhero movie, and it's not completely memorable, but I had fun, and it killed 2 hours. And as usual, if you want to subscribe, just click right here to subscribe.